Hi, I'm Dr. Aliabadi. If you struggle with irregular cycles, acne, facial hair, body hair, hair loss, or insulin resistance, you might be dealing with PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. Having dedicated my life to helping women with PCOS, I understand the challenges in getting an accurate diagnosis and the right care. That's why I created OV. OV is designed to help you take control of your health with clinically proven, validated ingredients in a simple, once-a-day solution. For too long, women with PCOS have had to choose between lifelong prescriptions or complicated supplement regimens. OV offers a better way to help manage your symptoms without the hassle. It's my mission to empower women facing PCOS and other hormonal issues by providing the information and support they need. Reclaim your health once and for all. Go to OV.com. That's OVII.com and start today.
I'm so excited today to have Cameron Rogers with Conversations with Cam. We're going to talk about everything from postpartum to pregnancy to mental health to babies, because we have 7 between the two of us.
Oh my God. You have 5 kids?
I have 5. I had 2 that came out of me, and then I have 3 stepchildren.
Okay.
So, but they're all mine. They, my little guys were 2 and 3 when we got married. So, but I'm so excited. I'm in New York. So I just want to kind of let's go back in case our listeners aren't that familiar, but they will be after listening to this. So what started this?
Honestly, what started it was medical stuff. I was working in sales and trading at JP Morgan. So I graduated college. I started there full time, 2 months after school. And it was probably 3 years into my career there where I started dealing with a bunch of digestive health issues. And I was trying to figure out the root cause, and I could not figure it out. And I was going on every single elimination diet possible. I had been diagnosed with SIBO multiple times. I had IBS-C, leaky gut. Any trendy name in that gut space world was thrown at me kind of, and I was diagnosed with it. So with these elimination diets, it led me to start eliminating foods, but really to start cooking my own meals, because that was the biggest issue with going out. And I had cut out foods like garlic and onion. That's in everything, even the seasoning. So
did it help?
Yeah, it actually did.
Okay.
I eat them now. I actually despise raw onion. I just find it foul, but I eat garlic and cooked onions and I'm fine. But I've healed a lot of that stuff. And quite honestly, a lot of it was, and this is later in the journey, but a lot of it was anxiety related. And I had mercury poisoning. So once we dealt with those,
were you eating tons of sushi?
No, they actually think, we don't know for sure, but the timing all lines up where they think it was from the removal of an amalgam filling, a metal filling.
I hear that more and more.
It was crazy. It took me 2 years to finally get to the bottom of and figure out that what was causing so much of my stuff. But
and did you find a great doctor that helped you? Did you go through several doctors, or you?
So many doctors. I was seeing a GI, and she was doing all of the tests that diagnosed me with SIBO, leaky gut, IBS-C, all of those things. I was treating SIBO with these antibiotics, and we were doing these elimination diets, but I still just felt like we weren't getting to the bottom of it because it kept coming back.
Yeah.
And I was so bloated that I looked now I can say, because I've seen my body 6 months pregnant, I literally looked 6 months pregnant sometimes. And I finally went and saw a functional medicine practitioner. And it was the beginning of their company, Parsley Health. It was when they first started in New York. And we did this extensive blood panel, and my heavy metals came back high. So she was like, I want to retest this. They came back high again. Then we did a separate panel that was more specific within heavy metals. And my mercury was supposed to be something they want under an 11 or something. And it was 118. It was really elevated. So from there, I did chelation therapy, which was 3 days of these supplements where it basically stripped my body of the mercury, but also every mineral because it couldn't disassociate. And then I would do 4 days of intense vitamin regimens, and then infrared sauna twice a week. So eventually we actually got the levels down, which is great. And I've had them tested since, because it was really important with my OB that I had them tested before I got pregnant, and they're at normal levels.
Did you feel different after that happened?
Night and day.
What?
With my digestive stuff. And like I had shingles. There was just crazy stuff happening that ends up all being correlated to this.
To the mercury poisoning.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it changed everything for me. And I also started working on my mental health, which helped a lot. So through these elimination diets, I started cooking. And it was kind of this birth era of the food porn account, quote unquote, like that was big in New York. The phone eats first, that kind of thing. So I started this account to do recipes that I was making and then all of the meals that I was prepping because I was bringing all of my meals to work. Breakfast and lunches.
Still on Wall Street at this point.
Still on Wall Street. And I never showed my face on the platform. I was like, no one will ever know this is me. I told a few people. Eventually, all my friends found out. My work knew, but I still didn't want my face on it. It was all food. And I kind of was hitting this point where I realized I cared a lot more about that and the wellness space and the social media aspect of the world than I did municipal bonds, which is what I was trading.
I don't know why. Surprise. I don't know why.
Like I'd sit down and I'd be like going on The Infatuation and Eater and Well and Good and never like Wall Street Journal or Barron's.
Yeah, totally.
And that was kind of this ding, but my job was such a badge of honor for me. Like the golden handcuffs of it all, it was so wrapped up in my ego. And I had just accepted this will be a side thing. You know, I have this great career. I'm doing really well here. Don't mess it up. Yeah. I then had a pretty life-altering moment. I got hit by a car. I know. My medical stuff is so weird. In Brooklyn, yeah.
So you're walking down the street.
Walking across the street. It was like 6 o'clock. I was walking to a yoga class on Friday night after work, which I never do, but one of my favorite yoga instructors was teaching her first class at a new studio. I would never go to Brooklyn for a workout class, but like I wanted to do it for her. I'm crossing the street. It's snowing. I have like my Canada Goose fur hood up, and I actually like jaywalk all the time, and I'm on my phone all the time. I'm not going to act like I don't. I was not doing any of those things in this moment.
Were you like high from yoga?
No. It was walking to yoga.
Sometimes that happens.
No.
Oh, okay.
I had the walk sign. I was on the crosswalk. I looked both ways. God. I did everything. But the car that had the green light was like flying down his parallel street, and he went to turn left and just straight up didn't see me. So he like I did everything right, which is why this kind of played into this whole shift in my life, because I realized like you can do everything that's in your quote unquote control, and life still is going to throw you curveballs. Yeah. And like at the end of the day, you're not really in charge of a lot.
Were you really hurt?
I ended up like I kind of I popped up and was like, whoa, really taken aback. I then like didn't want to mess up this person's life. I don't know what was happening in my brain. So I'm like, it's okay. And he's like, I think we should call the police. I'm like, no, like it's fine. I just wanted to get to the yoga class, which is crazy. He walks me into the studio.
Were you in your 20s? This sounds like you're in your 20s.
Yes.
This sounds like me too.
Of course.
I just wanted to go to that yoga class.
Yeah. I remember calling my husband, then my boyfriend, being like, I just got hit by a car. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then I start crying because I'm like, what is happening? You know when the adrenaline wears off? And I remember I was supposed to meet a girlfriend for dinner after, and I texted her being like,
did you go to the yoga class?
So he walks me to the studio because it was literally right there. I was like a stone's throw away from the studio. We walk in. The instructor, Beth, my friend, sees me, and I'm like, Beth, I just got hit by a car. She's like, what are you talking about? Sit down. As I start to like wear off from the adrenaline, I realize that I have a really intense headache and like a bruise on the side of my head. And I have a history of concussions, unfortunately. So I knew right away I have a concussion. Right. So I end up going to the ER that night, and they were like, you have a concussion. There's nothing, you can do. Go home, monitor yourself. And I remember calling my boss and being like, I just want to let you know I have a concussion. It's Friday night. Like, I might not be at work on Monday. But that was really all I thought.
I got hit by a car.
Yeah. Then I wake up the next morning, and I vividly remember like getting out of bed, turning on all the lights, almost like forgetting what happened, and being so overwhelmed by pain in my head, but honestly everywhere, where it was like the most intense post-concussion symptom I've ever felt. And this was my 6th one. So I feel like I'm kind of like...
You're an expert.
Yeah. So we went back to the hospital to make sure there was no brain bleed. I got a CT scan. Everything was clear, but I basically just had a bad concussion. And so from then on, I was on short-term like disability from work for, I want to say it was maybe 6 weeks. And during that time was when I started to meditate, I journaled a lot. Like, there was nothing I could do. I couldn't be on my phone. I couldn't watch TV. I just kind of laid there and like listened to books on tape and meditated and journaled.
Yeah.
And I was like, life is really short. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, you can do all of these things that you think are right, and it can just change in an instant. So why am I going to a job every day that makes me really anxious and I'm feeling depressed when I know there's something else I want to try to do? Like, I'll never be this young again in my life. I'll never have this little responsibility. I come from a lot of privileges that allowed me the opportunity to take that leap of faith. So I went back to work and I resigned. And from then on, I started the account. And it was all food focused in the beginning. Once I had left, I started showing more of myself. I started talking about mental health because I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression. Then when I got pregnant, it became a lot of pregnancy content because I was so blown away by what was happening to my body that I just was not prepared for. And I thought I would love being pregnant, and I hated it. So I started this whole series, What the Fuck is Happening to My Body, where I was
That's exactly how I felt.
No, it's
That's exactly how I felt.
What is happening?
Yes.
Why do I smell? Why is there hair coming out of every porous of my body? Like, why are my boobs covered in veins? Like, all of these things that I hadn't seen people talk about. And I was so blown away because I was on the earlier side of my group of friends. So then I kind of started talking about that. And then obviously after having a kid, it became postpartum content. So now it's really focused on mental health, motherhood, the intersection of the two.
And you talk about having postpartum.
Yeah.
Did you have it with both?
No.
Okay. So
what a gift this second one has been. I struggled a lot mentally with my first one, and I don't know if I necessarily realized how intensely I struggled until I was out of it, and then even more so now that I'm experiencing it a second time to reflect back on and compare.
And how did you get yourself out of it?
So for me, I always thought that postpartum depression was like when they put the baby on your chest and you don't feel connection and you're instantly depressed. And I know that that can be the case for some, but that's not every case. And I felt connected to my baby. I was really happy in our like bubble. It was just the three of us in New York. It was COVID, so there were really intense restrictions of who we allowed in our house, who could see him, what we did.
Which is kind of great when you have a newborn baby.
So like, yes. And then also there was this horrifying underlying anxiety because now I see it with, like, that was my first, that was all I knew.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh, I don't freak out every time someone leaves my house scared that I'm going to get a call of them being like, hey, I'm so sorry, I just tested positive, or I found out I was in contact. Like, that was the hardest part.
Right.
The aftermath of that, like, well, now what do we do? But I ended up having really intrusive thoughts right away.
And tell me what, like, give me
horrible. Like, I would just see. Did you ever watch Final Destination? Those movies?
It's been
okay. They're old. It was when I was young. We used to watch them. I don't know why they're so messed up, but that's kind of how I explain it to people who have never had intrusive thoughts, where you're literally seeing this vision happen, and it's not that you want it to happen.
You're worried it's going to happen.
But your brain convinces you that it's happening. Right. So I would convince myself that he was wrapped up in our sheets in the middle of the night, even though he slept in a bassinet next to me, and he never slept in our bed. I would, if I held him, convince myself I would panic walking through a doorway because I'd convince myself that I'd slam his head into the side of the doorway, or I'd drop him on our marble countertop, or like things like that. And
was it just a
constant. And it's really interesting because those went away and then they came back when I was pregnant with my second, but they came back with my toddler. So I think it was like the hormones of my pregnancy, but I was having intrusive thoughts about my toddler. And something I work through with my therapist and psychiatrist a lot is it's really interesting to observe that they are almost all related to head trauma. Like, I have intrusive thoughts of him having head trauma, specifically on concrete, where like my accident happened. So it's so deeply rooted within me.
Yeah.
But like, I had them really intensely again when I was pregnant, observing my toddler in the world. Like, when he was swimming and he'd be like jumping into the pool, I would like convince myself that his head was going to snap back somehow and hit. Yeah. So
how did you get yourself out of the postpartum?
Okay, sorry. So I had the intrusive thoughts and the anxiety early on, and then my postpartum depression really started around months like 4, and that was almost more confusing for me because I was like, wait, but I'm I'm out of the 4th trimester.
Right.
But
it's not supposed to happen
yeah.
now.
But that 4th trimester is way too short. You're pregnant for 9 months. And what we expect your body to just
snap
back. I mean, don't even get me started on the 6-week appointment checkup. It's 5 seconds. So for me, what helped a lot was I'm on medication. I have been since 2 years before I got pregnant, probably. So I've been on medication.
Were you able to stay on it during your pregnancy?
I had to switch. I was in the midst of changing medications. So, but yes, I was medicated for both of my pregnancies and postpartums on sertraline, Zoloft.
Yeah.
What about you?
I didn't start. I have anxiety, and I didn't start my anxiety medicine till after the babies were born, and actually after my first divorce. And I think there's a million reasons why we got divorced, and he's my best friend now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I definitely think my anxiety was definitely
Played a role.
Yeah, and I tell everybody, I know people don't want to be on medicine, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But I will never live my life without it, because I remember what that felt like. And medication doesn't get rid of your anxiety. It just makes it appropriate.
Manageable.
Yeah, it's appropriate.
Like, I say this all the time. If you broke your leg, you would wear crutches. No one would be like, come on, toughen up. Just walk on your broken leg. Like, some of us just need the extra assistance.
Or if you have diabetes, you would
of
take
course.
insulin.
Yeah.
It's just.
But for the anxiety, with medication, there's still moments when I'm anxious.
Yeah, me too.
It's not that it just goes away, but I'm not having a random panic attack over nothing walking down the street.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's the difference. So medication helped me tremendously. And, changing up my dosage, I definitely was increasing it during postpartum with the help of my doctor, obviously. Talk therapy. So I'm in weekly therapy. I have been for 8 years now. She's my ride or die.
Yeah.
Love her. And it's so nice because she knows all the players in my life now.
Totally.
Where I'm like, you will never guess what happened.
You're not going to believe what happened.
Sometimes I'm like, did we just gossip? And then I meditate. I haven't been great about it. It's something I'm trying to get back into, but
I tried for 30 years. I just.
Really?
Yeah.
I was so good with it in the sense of regularity. And then obviously it was hard once I had a kid, and then the second kid kind of just threw it out the window. But I'm trying to get back. I journal a lot. Journaling really helps me. And then doing things that make me happy.
Yeah.
Like whether it's spending time with friends and throwing my phone in a bag and forgetting about it, putting limits on my social media, that's huge for me.
Yeah. I think that would be so important for everybody.
Everyone. Reading romance novels, I love
a good romance novel. Oh my God, I love to read.
10,000
Okay, you're gonna
love to read.
You are literally gonna send me your favorites.
Oh, of course.
I love.
There's nothing better to me than after the kids go down, we clean up. We do the closing shift, and we're ready for the next day. And then I take a small little edible. I take my full body shower because that's my transition from mom day to my decompression time. And then I get in bed with my romance novel.
Oh my God, I love
That's my dream end of the day.
That is so awesome. We're going to have to compare notes with our romance novels.
So those all are ways that helped me get out of that stage. But honestly, so much of it is time. And I hate that. But it's really giving yourself grace and really remembering that everything is temporary. Everything's temporary.
Yeah.
You will not feel like this forever. And I know that it's so easy to convince yourself in those times that your life is forever changed. And it is in different ways and beautiful ways and hard ways, but you're not always going to feel that way. That's why I'm so open on my platform about what I experience. Obviously, there are boundaries and things that I don't feel I need to share with the dark hole of the internet, but sharing my experience in the way that I have lived it is important to me because I know from my messages that there are people out there who are experiencing similar things, and knowing that you're not alone is so important. And that's really why I started talking about mental health, because I was having these moments post-college, when I was working on Wall Street, pre-kids, where I would come home and just bawl to myself. And I'm like, I have everything that I could have dreamed of. I have the New York City apartment. I have the amazing relationship. I have all my friends. I have the job that all of my major people, people in my major, dream of. Why am I so lonely? And I noticed that once I started talking about it, it was the same thing with once I started medication. I said I was on medication. I realized that almost everyone in my life is experiencing something similar. So no matter what you're going through, someone else is experiencing a similar emotion. It's just a matter of if we can be vulnerable enough and less judgmental to be willing to share and connect.
Well, that's really why Thais and I started the podcast too. It's like, if we can help other women, and it's just, we're a team. I have 4 sisters, and my friends are my sisters too.
You're one of 5 sisters?
Yeah. So
I'm one of 3. That's amazing.
And you know what? They're my support system.
Of course. My little sister's taking care of my child right now.
Exactly. We couldn't deal with life without our sisters. But I think being open and vulnerable and sharing, that's a good use of social media. I'm like you. I have the most amazing life. I have the most amazing children. My husband is the love of my life. My family is incredible. I love what I get to do. But there are moments that I have, hardships like everyone else. And I think making sure that you're open and honest about that is.
And I think it's so important to remember, and this is something that I try to reiterate, but I know sometimes it gets lost, is that mental health doesn't discriminate. So like you can be so blessed, so blessed. Look at certain celebrities that we've lost to suicide. Yeah. You can have, quote unquote, it all and still struggle with your mental health. Do you have advantages with those financial privileges to seek help? Of course, 110%. However, it's still not always or ever really under your control or up to you. Yeah. And I think when it comes to like the aspect of social media and mental health and all of that, I think about this a lot. How old are your kids?
My babies are 16 and 17.
Okay. So like for me, I think back to high school when we were just in the age of we were allowed to have, like Facebook opened up to high school when I was in high school. So it was not only colleges. And we got it maybe junior year. And I remember, you'd have these like slumber parties and you'd take all these photos on your disposable camera, and same with college. And then you'd upload the whole thing the next day or 2, and it would just be like weekend, whatever. Yeah. I think about how that made certain people feel when you would see something if you weren't invited to it, or you'd be scouring. Like I remember scouring images, being like, who's in the background? Were they there? Were they invited? Yeah. Now the fact that people are experiencing that real time in that moment where like you're, for instance, someone who's not invited to this girl sleepover and you're in 8th grade and you're sitting on your couch by yourself on a Friday night at home and you're seeing all of these friends together posting these TikTok dances, like that's heartbreaking. Yeah, it is. And that's something that's
and
not
you're not
even
really equipped to handle.
You're
those
not
emotions.
Equipped. Your frontal lobe hasn't developed. And also you're not, it's not malintent in the sense of posting by the other people always. Sometimes it can be, but it's still the way that you're consuming it and absorbing it, and it breaks my heart.
I know, me too.
And even in the sense of like, not everyone's perfect. I was thinking about this recently because I try to be very honest and open about my experiences. However, I also set boundaries because not everyone in my life signed up for this. Yeah. And for instance, right now there's something that I've been going through that's been really freaking hard and really tough. And, I find it interesting that like as a consumer of my content, it would still look like for the most part, I have it all together. Even though I've said I'm going through something hard, I'm setting a boundary on that, I'm not sharing it, and it's tough. Without going into detail, it's still, you never get the full picture. Yeah.
And so that's even somebody that is
you're never going to get the full picture.
Right. I know.
And I don't think we deserve everyone's full picture, but I think we need to remember that.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So what would you tell every woman who is, I think postpartum is such a massive thing that we need to talk about more. Yeah. What would be some of your advice?
I would say to hone in on creating your support system in your village. I would be nowhere without mine. And I've been so gifted in the sense that I was given some in terms of my family. Like my parents want to be hyper involved. My in-laws want to be hyper involved. I have 2 sisters who are incredibly helpful and we're very close. And I realize that not everyone has that. So if you have that, like leaning on that and also showing up for the people in your village whose like villages you play a role in. Yeah. I feel very passionately about that. And I think so many of us in postpartum experience this wake-up call of, wow, I didn't show up for my friend the way that I should have because I never knew what she was going through because I hadn't experienced this before. And so now I make a really conscious effort when any of my friends have kids to really try to show up for them, like show up hard. Yeah. And I think creating that village with friends, finding people, whether it be in mom groups, whether it be in classes with your kids, you know, trying to connect. I think we're all looking for connection.
Yeah.
So many of us are. And talking to people, like talking it out. You need safe spaces, whether it's group talk somewhere, whether it's Facebook groups, whether it's friends and family, where you can be completely honest about what you're experiencing. Because when you trap those thoughts in your head, you convince yourself that you're the only one having them and that something's wrong with you. And the second you release them and you talk about it, you realize that like you're not alone.
Yeah.
And you have someone talk to you as a friend, which is always so much nicer than the way that we talk to ourselves.
Yeah, it's so true. Why do you think you didn't get postpartum the second child?
So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I wish that it was a science so that I could tell everyone to do this so that they didn't get it. I think it's twofold. I think one of the biggest things, and it's been a really eye-opening experience for me the entire, like thus far, 9 months out, having a second, is that I have the confidence and the wherewithal and the lived experience of this. Mm-hmm. So I know, because I've actually experienced it, that that's not forever.
Right.
I know that my baby is not going to be up all hours of the night forever. And it's really wild because my first was like this angel unicorn baby. He did the 12 hours by 12 weeks. He never cried, never spit up once in his life, like never had any of those things. And still I struggled so deeply mentally. My second has just thrown every freaking curveball at me. He didn't sleep through the night until he was like 5.5 months. We're still dealing with sleep issues. He spits up more than I'm covered in spit up 24/7. Like he's just wild. I love him to death, but they're so different.
They're always so
and
different.
I always say that you get what you can handle. Like I could have never handled my second as a first-time mom. It would have rocked me worse. Like I can't even imagine. But as a second-time mom, I'm like, all right, dude, let's go.
Yeah.
And he's taught me to chill out and like realize that I can't control everything. Yeah. I was a little or very obsessive and schedule-oriented and anal with my first, and my second is like, no, that's not happening.
That's not happening.
Yeah, and you can't do it with a second because you've got a first to care for. So I think the fact that it was my second really helped because I knew that eventually I would feel like a version of myself again. Yeah. And I had reached a level of happiness when my son, my first, was around 9-10 months that I never imagined being able to experience, like happier than I've ever been in my life. And so knowing that that was still available for me to tap back into once I got out of this like phase of newborn life gave me the hope almost. I also think the second time around we did hire a like night doula 3 nights a week so that I was able to sleep 3 nights a week, which was tremendous. Yeah. Such a privilege, such a gift. If you have the means, it's the best thing you can do. It's the best thing you can give anyone if you're like figuring out with friends, even a night's of sleep. That helped me a lot. I think also having the tools from the first go around was really helpful. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I feel like those are the main factors.
Well, that's great. It's just, you know, you're a pro. Second time around.
I don't know.
First
about
time
that.
you're like,
I mean, they're so different.
What the hell is happening?
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Oh my God. And they just keep, I have to just tell you, they keep getting more hilarious. And they keep
it's so fun.
Oh my God, it's so fun. And being a boy mom is so fun. My one that just turned 16, I posted a video on his 16th birthday of him when he was 2.5, like this, the greatest video. Like he's just laughing and giggling. And I thought about, I think he was 4, and they used to, their rooms were right next door to each other, and I would go like snuggle with one, and then the other was like, come on, come in and snuggle.
That's my life right now.
Like snuggle back in that room. Snuggle back in that room. So I was in McLean's room snuggling with him, and I was like trying to, you know, I thought he was asleep, and I was easing my way out. And he goes, Mama, you can leave right now, but these moments are fleeting.
Last night, my toddler is obsessed with sleeping, the idea of sleeping in my husband and my bed, even though we've never let him sleep in our bed for a full night, except for he had a surgery and during recovery we did, and that kind of confused him because now he thinks that it's an option. And my husband's away right now, and so last night I'm putting him down. He's like, please, 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 Mommy, I just want to marry you. And I was like, what? And he's like, please, can we just get married? And I was like, honey, no, I'm so sorry, we can't. I love you, but
we can snuggle.
Not happening. And he's like, but then I could sleep in your bed. And I'm like, oh my God, you're smart. Because I guess one day I told him like, you sleep in your bed. Our
Daddy
baby
and I
sleeps
sleep
in
our
his.
bed 'cause we're married.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like, but
no.
we're married. That's fine. So I hear at 3 a.m., Mom, I go in, please, is it early morning yet? Can I get in your bed? I'm like, not yet. 5:30, Mom. I'm like, it's early morning enough. Get in.
You're like, get in.
Yeah, he's allowed to crawl in anytime after 5.
Yeah, I think honestly, I mean, I'm 52, so these days are long gone. But if I had another one, I think I would just let him sleep in my bed. I think I would just let him do
but it's so hard.
I know.
It's so hard.
You can't.
Because
but,
I want to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, that's the issue. I want him in my bed, but I also want to sleep. And I can't. He is all over the goddamn place. He talks in his sleep. He's moving. He's kicking. Like, and I want space for my husband.
Yeah,
And that. Like, that's the other thing.
You
Where would I have sex?
Yes, of course. You have to. That's a tip that I would tell everybody. It's really, again, a tip that I learned from more with my second marriage than my first, which is we have date nights. Like, we take time for each other. We take trips without our kids.
Oh,
like,
same.
We absolutely have space for ourselves, because sooner than later they're going to be gone and you're left with this person, and that person has to have you have to have a solid relationship
it's
with
so
them.
important.
And so I think that would be my biggest tip to tell everybody, which is your children are amazing, and keep them and love on them and do all of those things, but you have to love on your husband too, and make time for him, or you're going to be an empty nester and looking into a stranger's face and not know what to do.
I know. We're trying to get back on our date night game. We've been so bad since our second. But
well,
we're
again,
so
give
fresh.
yourself a break.
No, I know.
It's been
But we
9
did go
months.
on a nice trip, the two of us, which was amazing.
Good.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's good. Well, you're the best.
my God, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Thanks so much for joining us today on SheMD.
If you want to own your own health, a good place to start is by following us on social media at SheMD Podcast, and by subscribing to our show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
For takeaways from today's episode, visit our website, shemdpodcast.com. We'll see you next time on SheMD. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for a physician's medical advice. You should regularly consult your medical provider in matters relating to your own health. Even though we share our honest beliefs on SheMD, some of the products and services we discuss may involve sponsorships or paid advertising.